All right, welcome to our first episode of the year 2025. It's on 13th of January. Today, it's on Monday. We discuss about governance. Our pillar number one about the Change for Africa campaign. My name is Alistair Thomas Abega. Thank you. So, to help us today discuss about governance in Africa, or the governance that we want in Africa, I went through what you call the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular, today I took goal number one, which is no poverty. It's an ambition that the UN has, and it also applies to Africa because it's a global thing. It also applies to Africa. So when I saw this, after I got a revelation that this one remains to be, a daydream, dreaming during the day, because unless the system of governance changes in Africa, we are not in the space to eradicate poverty. Unless we have a clear system of governance, unless we have a visionary system of governance in Africa, unless we have a system in governance that is not self-appeasing, unless we have a system of governance in Africa that worries about the livelihoods of the people, we have no space in this goal number one, no poverty. Because if in Africa we have heard that many countries in Africa we have received, I may say donations from different places of the world, but then you realize that we have had stories whereby most of these funds actually do not do what they are meant for, but most of these funds end up being taken by some few individuals in the political systems or in the political arenas. It is governance. Those are people in government. So if they take that money, it's not because they're taking to do with it for any goodwill, but it's for self, for individual beneficial. They have taken, like, their positions of governance or their positions of power have become to their prerogative, whereby when there's anything public funds, they are just embezzled and for their own uh, self-interest. That is what is happening. So we cannot discuss the issue of poverty. We cannot eradicate poverty unless we eradicate bad governance. So we want good governance. So under Change for Africa campaign, what are we doing? We realize that the young people of Africa has the very enormous population of the young people in Africa. We have very huge population of the young people in Africa. So these are the people, like for me, the lead and founder Change for Africa campaign. What I'm doing is now to see, I'm very interested with the youth of Africa because I want like-minded youth who believe that Africa can change. So I want these people to come together, we unite, and then we now because we unite and then we say, look, this is what is happening in our political arenas, this is what is happening in our government. So what can we do different from what is happening? Once we all agree and then we start on a level ground that the current governance system is like this, but we can change and be like this. Being like this means we can change for good of African people. That is the only time that our dream, our potential, our real potential will be unleashed. We have a very huge potential as Africa to spur our growth. But then what is holding us? It is our software. The software of us is the governance. Because things like, we have things that actually are individual, you know, the morals the morals of our leaders in Africa. I'm speaking about Africa. We have other countries outside Africa whereby it is the same. But then we are in Africa, and Africa is our business. So we speak about Africa and we speak for Africa because You are an African, or for me, I am an African not because I was born in Africa, but I'm an African because Africa is in me, you know. So we speak for Africa that we have to change our political systems. We have to change our governance. We need to have governance that respects the rule of law. We need integrity in our political system. We need integrity in our governance. We need governance that understands that Africa has potential, that indeed believes that we have the potential to do our own business. That is poverty. Poverty cannot be eradicated unless we have good governance in place. Today is on Monday. Our first show or our first episode comes to an end. That was about governance, specifically on whether we can eradicate poverty before we mend our governance. Let us make our governance before we eradicate poverty. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow about the potential that Africa has. Thank you and welcome.